Well, glory be and mercy me. We've done it yet again. Here we are. Normal daily graveyard walk. I think the thing that I want to be talking about today is the Ontario election coming up here. We've got a bit of a battle going on between Doug Ford and Del Duca. Stephen Del Duca, of course, the leader of the Liberal Party. The Liberals were in third place. Looks like they are jumping up to become the more serious challenger, as Andrea Horwath is showing everybody that she's a weak leader, not rising to the occasion, not rising to the moment. And this conversation surrounding disability supports is exactly the case in point. So Stephen Del Duca comes out and he says, we're going to raise ODSP rates, that's the Ontario Disability Fund, right? ODSP rates by 20% over 2 years. Sounds super good, doesn't it? Right? Sounds super good. Wow, 20%, John. You know, I have been advocating for ODSP. I've been going out and protest. I have organized with an organization called Poof with Isabella Gamp. We literally have been shutting down streets in protest about the treatment of the disabled. Literally disabled people are getting like $1,400 a month from the government, which, what's the average rent here in Toronto? Oh, it's like $2,000, right? So it doesn't take a genius to sort of square this circle, right? And so you end up with a bunch of homeless people, a bunch of disabled people, homeless in the parks. And then what do we do? What do we do? What do we do to those homeless people in the parks who we're abandoning? Oh, we pay money to a bunch of cops to go beat the shit out of them, right? Here in the city of Toronto, when we cleared the encampments, when you actually did the cost breakdown, it was $20,000 per homeless person we spent in order to beat them up with cops. You think we could have given them $20,000? I think we could have handed $20,000 over to each one of them and been like, hey, good luck in your endeavors. But instead of that, we decided the best thing to do was to beat them up with cops. So when Del Duca raises or offers to raise the rate 20%, it sounds super duper nice, but that still puts us below the Mike Harris cuts back in the 90s. Another psychopathic conservative gets into power, immediately assaults the disabled by cutting their services by 25%, and where it has remained. So when Del Duca stands up and says, we're going to raise it 20%, well, he's offering less than what was cut in the first place, right? The ratchet theory is usually that the Liberals come in and ratchet forward one step, right? And then the Conservatives come, ratchet back 2 steps, right? You're seeing this in full-throated, full-blown action, right? Conservatives come in, ratchet us back 2 steps. Liberal comes in, ratchets us up 1 step. Conservatives back 2, Liberals forward 1. And it's a game they play together that they know they play. In response to this, of course, the cruel, cynical Ford government has stood up and said, well, we're going to raise ODSP rates 5%. So this really just shows you the cruel miserliness of the Ford administration, that literally Del Duca comes and throws a gauntlet on the table and says, this is what we're willing to do. We're willing to raise rates to still below the initial cuts. And that's not even including things with inflation. That's not even including all of the changing currencies, the changing prices, the way rent has ballooned, all of these things. So we're still going to be way below the initial cut. But that's what we're doing. And the Ford administration shows up and says, well, we're going to do far less. And we're all supposed to take this seriously. We are ruled by profoundly unserious people. People who are so unserious about the idea of governing, who are so unserious about the idea of giving a shit about their own communities, their own country, their own families, that they're standing up and looking at our weakest and most vulnerable people and saying, yeah, it's fine if we abandon these people, right? They just need to go get jobs. This is what Doug Ford has said repeatedly on several occasions of our disabled population. what's so disgraceful about all of this, especially coming out of the Conservatives, but in my view the Liberals are not much better, is that these are the people who always stand up and say, well, you got to take responsibility, you got to stand up straight, you got to do what's right for yourself and get everything figured out. Okay, well, part of being a citizen of a country is that you take responsibility for the country that you live in. It's extremely odd that these people are simultaneously talking about responsibility while also being extremely patriotic, and then insist that they don't need to actually do anything for their country, right? So it's this faux patriotism where they pretend to give a shit about Canada, but they don't actually give a shit about Canadians, right? The disabled Canadian citizens can be abandoned because it's their responsibility, even though very clearly and obviously, to anyone who has a brain in their head and considers themselves a patriot, it is the responsibility of the citizenry. It is our responsibility to take care of our weak, to take care of our vulnerable. It is the responsibility of every citizen to ensure that every other citizen can actually get to their feet, right? These guys love to say things like, well, just stand up straight, right? Oh, you've fallen down, well, get up by your bootstraps, right? If you fall down, you get back up. Well, some people can't get back up, right? That's just the hard truth of it. Some people can't get back up. And if you're gonna sneer unapologetically at people who bother to take a moment to bend down, to stand that person up, or who, heaven forbid, provide them a tool like a crutch so that they can stand up, or a wheelchair so that they can participate meaningfully in the society. If all you're gonna do is sneer at those people, then you gotta stop calling yourself a patriot. You gotta stop pretending like you actually give a shit. You gotta stop pretending like you actually read that Bible of yours. We need to begin organizing seriously. If the Liberals and the NDP and the Conservatives are willing to abandon our disabled, they're 100% willing to abandon you. There are going to be huge moments that come up for this society. The housing crisis is going to lead to a mass spike in homelessness. The climate change crisis is going to lead to enormous environmental impacts, which Doug Ford is raising emissions in this province by 400% because of his brutal incompetence. So we have to begin organizing. Join your local communists, join socialist groups, stop pretending like we can push these parties to the left, because we can't. It's over. They've been bought by corporate power. It's all just a grift. It's all just a game. And the only way they're going to start responding to us is if we threaten them, their jobs, existentially. Surround the halls of power, surround their homes, surround everything, and tell them that we refuse to be ruled this way. All right, guys. This is the end of this one. Like, share, subscribe as always. Send it around as always. They are working overtime to silence voices on the left. I'm seeing more and more people getting picked off every day. Just listened to an interview today. An Ethiopian activist fighting on behalf of her people. And she's talking about how all of these guys are getting removed from Twitter. Everybody's getting removed from social media because they don't want people to know what's going on at all. And they certainly don't want you to understand that you have the power, along with your fellow citizens, to end this garbage. Always remember, each and every one of you is a quantum being walking around in this quantum energy. These billionaires are spending hundreds of billions of dollars in the vain hope that you'll never realize it, and you'll just stay the good little commodity they need you to be. Rebel, revolt, repent. Good luck. we're gonna need it.